Manx Radio Podcasts, powered by Shaw.
Hello and welcome to this week's Countryside Podcast with Kiri Kermode and myself, Simon Clark. And a lot of outdoor stuff this week, Kiri. You were finding out about foraging, not through the bins, of course. You went to see John Farragut, didn't you?
Yes, John's been having an organisation to find out more what you can eat in the countryside with the herbs and nettles and docks and different things you can find in glens and just generally what's edible and what's not edible. But yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, of course, the nettle wine. Have you ever had that?
Not yet.
No, but also there's lots of things as well that grow wild. We're always full aware of the garlic, so we'll be finding out whether you can use that in cooking. I'm not sure. But also, you had a visiting group over of very nice gentlemen.
They were a lovely bunch of gentlemen from the Grosvenor Sheep organisation from the south of England. The knowledge was unbelievable. These gents have travelled around Europe and worldwide, trading ideas and genetics and breeding stock, and they're a great hub for people to go through to actually bring in new genetics and bloodlines and different things for various livestock groups. And they hold seminars and have up-to-date information, and they've taken over from the ICI, which used to do tours years and years ago, and they've continued to do it, and now they're bringing young people on board to go and visit various farms and, swap ideas.
Yeah, and you as a sheep breeder yourself, did you find it interesting particularly?
Very interesting. They're up to date on the modern data that we have. We weight record all the pedigree livestock and watch their genetics and how they grow and the different traits that they pick up from their mothers and their fathers, and these men were so up to speed with it, and their thoughts and opinions on it and how it looks for the future is really interesting.
Yeah, and also a strange subject in a way, because a lot of people are around the countryside, of course, are a bit fearful of bats as mammals, and I went along with the Manx Bat Group to go on one of their walks around Lazaire Loop Road, and it was pretty fascinating, their love for these misunderstood creatures, really. Well,
they can be quite frightening, a bat. I know when they come down the lane at night time in the summer at our place, they ruffle through you, past your ears, and you do get a bit of a fright, but the Manx ones are so much smaller than the ones you see at the wildlife park, and it's nice to see people continuing to follow them.
They are. So that's all in this week's Countryside, so here it is.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
The Grosvenor Sheep Group travelled around the Isle of Man visiting various farms, and I caught up with them to see what they thought of farming in the Isle of Man. So, Michael, this is your first time to the Isle of Man. You've come with the Grosvenor Sheep Group. A long time established group, I hear.
Yes, that's absolutely right. We've been established as the Grosvenor Group for about 35 years.
And how did it all come about?
It all came about really because of an ICI system of doing records for people. I wasn't a member of the ICI group, but we got together, three of us got together and said, well, we must carry this on because ICI have gone off it. And Tony was prepared to be our secretary, which was absolutely essential. And so we reformed the group then, and we invited about 30 people, asked them if they'd like to join us. And you say the membership now is about that level, isn't it? Yeah.
So what does the Grosvenor Group do in particular? Is it mostly farm visits and ideas?
Yes, we only meet once a year now, and we go 1 year we're in Europe, and the other year we're somewhere in the UK. We usually take 4 or 5 days away from home, and we go to farms, supposedly all sheep farms. In fact, they cover all forms of livestock, and of course we're interested in the arable as well, because most of us have got a certain amount of arable.
Yeah, I see, because most sheep farmers now will have some beef cattle or dairy. They run hand in hand.
Yes, they do, absolutely. For us to be able to see what they do and to hear our comments is helpful for both of us. I think always on these visits we tend to feel that farmers we visit benefit by the visit, and we certainly do.
You said one of your most favourite visits was to Germany many years ago.
Yes, that was outstanding because we went to Eastern Germany when the wall came down. So literally we had to go through the standing wall, but we came through that and we went round there. And we went to a commune that had 10,000 hectares. It was 25,000 acres. And we suddenly found that they were completely lost. They had no idea what to do. They had lots of good equipment. They had a building team. They had mechanics. But they were a complete shambles. And they were so pleased for us to stand up and talk to them and tell them how we saw their business and how we might help. And I'm sure a lot was gained by both of us for that.
And you travelled last year to the Czech Republic and Slovakia.
Yes.
And now they're wanting to come to GB, is that right? Tony, you'll probably know more about this.
What happened, in fact, was that we went out there and they invited us back to their autumn conference. I had thought they'd forgotten about it, but they suddenly turned up and said, can we have 5 speakers within 4 weeks? We found 5 speakers there, and we went back to outside Prague. We were there for 2 days as their guests, but we had to earn our keep by giving a conference. So that was happened there. We swapped ideas, we learnt a lot from each other, and we got some good contacts. Quite a few of them wanted to buy some breeding stock, so we then put them in contact with them from that. But since then, the National Sheep Association are doing their biannual event in southern England, and I've invited some of them to come, and they are coming. And they said, can we see some farms as well? So now it's coming to a bigger area. But luckily, the people are coming speak English, and there'll be no problem at all. So what might be 2 or 3 people may end up quite a few more by the time we finish. That's in June, anyhow.
It's a great organisation, and it's a very nucleus, a very small group of people that are involved with it. How do you guys? Are you all just from the one area in England, or how does it work?
No, we cover the whole south of England, go from Kent right across to Devon, up into Hereford, and across from there, and into Norfolk as well. So it's sort of south of England roughly. But we invite people from other countries, other parts of the country as well.
Are most of the group older people, or is there young people getting more involved now?
The problem with the younger people, in fact, they all now work on the farm. They have little staff left now, so it's very difficult to get away. But we do persuade them to come along, and it does help from that. We're trying to get younger people, but to get younger people into an established group, it's not very easy sometimes. They have to be special people in their own way to enjoy it and come as well. But they are getting a lot more younger people coming in.
And how have you enjoyed your trip to the Isle of Man? Is this your first time here?
None of us have been here. One of my contacts is Bob Landon, who is a contractor and a shearer. He came here. You must come, you must come. My wife said, you must go as well, so we've come. And we looked around the place. The whole problem of finding a new destination to go is to find a contact. Someone suggested the NFU, and the Manx NFU would be absolutely superb in doing everything down there, put themselves out to help us. Without them, we've been totally lost, I'm quite sure.
You say the island is quite diverse. Do you find it quite a different terrain to the south of England, possibly?
No, it varies quite a lot. On our travel across England, we seem to have everything in a smaller space, which down the southwest, up in the mountains, up in the dales there. It's very much the same, actually. It's very, very beautiful.
This year we're complaining that the spring is a little bit later. Is this something you've noticed?
We were the same. Spring was about a month ahead, and suddenly we had this very different period. We're now running behind about a month as well. And you're exactly the same as the grass, only just starting before now, be several inches high.
Yeah.
So it's very slow.
And Michael, what have you enjoyed about visiting the Isle of Man as chairman? You've seen many sites over the years. Is there anything that's stuck in your mind from this week?
Yeah, I think actually the fact that the attitudes towards livestock, because this is the primary thing, are so similar to ours. And I think we've learned a lot in subtle sort of ways when you go around the farms and you see what they're doing. Obviously they don't have the arable that we do, because we have a fairly substantial amount of arable, but they do have they're very good stockmen, and I think we've appreciated what we've seen.
That was the chairman, Michael Sykes, and secretary Tony Cave of the Grosvenor Sheep Group.
Not sure if it's a group for us, Kiri. We seem to be on the older scale of age.
The knowledge was unbelievable, though, Simon, and they travelled mostly all around the world, but mostly around Europe, and trading ideas and swapping thoughts with various farmers, livestock farmers and crops. And they were a great bunch of people to gather experience from.
And it's funny how they've evolved from something that used to happen with a sort of club or a company, and then they just decide, oh well, it's good for us. It's probably good experience for other people hearing about it, so they've kept it going, isn't it?
They have. That once the ICI had closed down the touring around Britain and whatever organisations they had put on, they decided they wanted to continue, and they have, and what the knowledge they've picked up and they're sharing now and encouraging younger people to join their Grosvenor Sheep group, it's really good to hopefully keep it going for other generations to come.
Yeah, and they sounded as though the Isle of Man had that little bit of a different feel to it as well.
They thought the Isle of Man was a beautiful place. They find it quite funny how we managed to survive with the export costs, the ferry and different things, but it's all new information to them.
They'd get it cheap. Well, are you scared of bats?
We used to see lots of bats down our road in the evenings in the summertime, and I haven't seen them lately, but no doubt they'll be back in the summer months.
Well, this time of year is the time when, of course, they've awoke from their hibernation. Difficult to see them, of course, in the daytime with them being nocturnal. But I went along to the Lizère Loop Road to join the Manx Bat Group to find out if we could see any on the night. Well, Bob Noon from the Manx Bat Group joined a reasonable party here at Lizère. What are we hoping to, obviously bats, but what are we hoping to pick up tonight?
Well, we've a very good chance indeed of seeing brown long-eared bats, because there is a roost very close to here that we know of, a brown long-eared roost. So later on, when it gets really dark, I'm hoping that we can experience some action with brown long-eared bats. And just a few moments ago, when we were talking about detectors and how to use them, we were, of course, honoured by a flypast from Leisler's bats, possibly two of them. And they stayed with us for a few minutes, got a very good view indeed. So that's two species. Aside from that, I would expect that we're going to see pipistrelles. And, we've got two species of pipistrelle on the island. If we saw both of them, that would be fantastic. In this part of the island, just at Lizère here, it is at least feasible that we could get some of the myotis species as well, and there are three of those. So I'm hopeful that we'll actually see quite a large selection of the 7 species that we have in the Isle of Man.
Well, we've got everyone kitted up with their high vis and their detectors, so a good, enthusiastic lot of people here, and someone's new to it as well. Oh, we've got some there.
We do indeed, and you know what? I think those are brown long-eared bats. A very good sound recording, if I may say so, because they often don't make an awful lot of noise. They have huge ears. They're called long-eared bats for a very good reason, and they can hear exceedingly well, and they actually use their sense of hearing for hunting as much as ultrasound, as echolocation. So they're often very difficult to pick up on these detectors, but it's a still night, quite mild. You can almost hear the moth's wings flapping. It's so quiet now that the bikes have disappeared. Yeah, I think we're going to have a very good night's bat watching indeed.
Well, Bob, we're here by Lizère Church. You said, I think it was the long-eareds that you think are roosting here?
Brown long-eared, yes. There's been a brown long-eared roost here for many years. They're often quite difficult to pick up because they use very, very quiet ultrasound. Because of their long ears, they have wonderful hearing, and they don't have to use loud noise to get a bounce back off the target insect when they're echolocating. So the advantage is that some insects can actually tell when bats are pinging them. So the long-eared bat uses much lower intensity of ultrasound, and as a result doesn't alarm the... Now that was louder than I expected from a long-eared bat, but I think long-eared it was. Must have come very close to us.
Are you saying that the insects over the years have evolved to sort of put up a defence against being attacked like that?
They have. Moths have a little structure, you couldn't really call it an ear, but it behaves a bit like an ear, that lets them hear ultrasound. And so when the bats are using ultrasound to find the moths, the moth can actually tell, and it takes avoiding action. It's a reflex, an instinctive reflex. Crumples its wings and drops out of the flight path, so as a result the bat misses the moth. But long-eared bats, and there you are, you see it's quite a soft sound there from a passing long-eared bat. Long-eared bats use a much lower intensity of sound, so they don't actually trigger that avoidance reflex in the moth. Long-eared bats catch moths where other bats fail, so there's this sort of arms race between predator and prey, which I think is rather nice. Can you hear? That's a much drier sound. And you're picking it up at 60, 70, all the way down to 35.
We've got some first timers on the Manx Bat Group walk as well. What's your name?
Gillian.
Have you found it
I thought
interesting
it was
experience?
Brilliant, yeah. Got to see them and got to hear them on the little machine. I wasn't expecting to. No, I thought it was amazing.
So nice that we've got the machines to pick them up, but you can actually see them as well earlier on, couldn't we? And with with the light.
I could see them earlier with the light, when it was light. And then other people were getting them on the machine and I wasn't, and then suddenly...
And what made you come tonight?
I just heard it on Manx radio that was on and I thought, that's got to be worth a go. I'm kind of interested in the wildlife, but I never thought about bats, actually.
So who else have we got here?
I'm Tanya.
Your first time as well?
It is, yeah, first time.
Yeah, and what have you made of it?
It's been very interesting. I've learnt quite a lot tonight. It's been very good.
Yeah, because as soon as the people are hearing them on the machines, you can look out and see them, and it's been a fabulous night.
It has, yeah. It sounds like it's been quite an extraordinary night from what the Bat Group are saying.
And what about, you're always interested in things out in the wild, animals and birds and things, or is this something new that you're sort of doing?
Yeah, this is sort of new to me.
Would you go again on one?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
All right, glad it's been a good night.
Yeah, it's been great.
Well, the evening's drawing to a close, Bob. It's been a fascinating one and a very successful one, I'd imagine, from your point of view.
It has indeed, Simon. There are a few occasions where you can walk just a few hundred yards and pick up activity from 5 out of our 7 Manx species, and I say at least 5 because there are some bats that have passed us tonight which actually I haven't been able to identify.
People get this impression, though, that bats can't see at all, don't they?
Ah, yes, they do indeed. It's one of those myths. but
Blind
bats
as a bat.
Yeah, indeed. I've no idea really how that idea ever came about. I think it just must be a confused notion because they fly at night, they can't be using their eyes. But actually, all bats can see very well, and their night vision is certainly better than yours or mine. Oh yes, they can see extremely well. But this echolocation, this ultrasound, and we tend to concentrate quite a lot on the electronics here because I suppose, like most men, deep inside there is a geek fighting to get out, and I just find the idea of animals that can find their way simply by using sound and building up sound pictures of their environment is compelling and really very interesting.
And you must be pleased that there's been some new people out with us tonight as well?
Yes, indeed, and I've given them a taste for what it can be like, which is quite a lot of bat activity that we know about and can explain. But actually there are a fair number of unknowns in this as well, and some things are still a bit of a mystery, and there's lots of stuff still to find out.
Well, some of the people there from the Isle of Man Bat Group on their bat walk around Lezayre, and fascinating it was. I've been on the bat walks before around places like Kirkmichael, and the little sounders that they have to hear them pick up the echo from the bats. It's quite scary because you can't see nothing. You can just hear this little thing chattering away, and then suddenly you can see it going past you. So the enthusiasm from them, though, because like they say, they're so misunderstood, bats, by people. They think of them as these horror
scary,
movies.
yeah. But they're not, are they?
No, but I'm not sure you'd like to go to bed with one alongside of you. But when you see them in the wildlife park and things, them big fruit bats, they're massive. They are massive as well. But again, it's nice to see that a lot of people are interested in the Isle of Man in just preserving another little part of the world's wildlife, isn't it?
It's lovely to see.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
There was a chance to find out what was edible and not edible in the Manx countryside at Noah Bakehouse. I went along to speak to John Farragher from Food for Free to find out more about foraging on the Isle of Man.
Basically, yeah, it's all about responsible foraging, about basically getting out in the countryside, looking at plants, identifying plants that are edible, some are medicinal, but also, yeah, just enjoying the fresh air and getting out there and enjoying this beautiful island.
Recently you've been at Port Sodrick Glen. 20 edible plants, is this right?
Yeah, in fact 24, but I didn't want to show off. Yeah, 20 edible plants. I sort of went up the glen myself a couple of times and did a couple of recce's, and then we had a walk on Monday night, and it was brilliant. Yeah, it's really good. It's just amazing the diversity of plant life that you can find.
Do you have to know what you're looking for?
You have to know what you're looking for. There's certain families that are quite dangerous, and you can get the ugly sister look-alike. Some that are downright
Poisonous,
deadly poisonous. Yeah, especially the carrot family. You just got to be careful. The carrots and the buttercup family, they're the two worst. So yeah, it's getting to know the plants, what they look like, getting to know them through every stage of their life. So knowing what they look like in spring, summer, autumn.
And will you run courses for people to come and join in? How does it work?
Yeah, we do walks. I do walks that are just free for people to attend. And certain areas, I do one around West Baldwin, I'll do Port Sodrick Glen. Just always looking for other areas. You know, at the end of the day, if you see a plant in Port Sodrick Glen, it looks exactly the same as you see it in West Baldwin or in Ballaugh or wherever. So once you've learned to identify that plant, you'll be noticing it everywhere you go.
So will you have certain recipes you can put some of these plants with, or?
Yeah, there's recipes out there. I mean, half the fun is just the research, looking into it yourself, buying the books, looking on YouTube, going online, talking to people. You know, everybody knows the old ramsons, the wild garlic, making
lovely.
pesto. It's fantastic. We're just having pizzas tonight here in Noah, and the pesto's got wild ramsons that I foraged earlier today, and it's delicious, and it's just a unique flavour, and the taste is brilliant, and yeah, it's just great. It's so much fun, and you know, you get what you put into it. So if you put a lot of effort into it, you get a lot of result out of it, and it's just great being outdoors. You know, got a bit of a tan on me, so yeah, it's good.
And does the Manx countryside have anything special compared to the UK, or is it quite similar?
It's similar to the UK. It usually depends on soil type, really. You get certain plants that like alkaline soil, some like chalk, some like... It just depends. The Isle of Man has one unique plant, a type of cabbage, which I've only found once on the Isle of Man, and as it's a protected species, I wouldn't pick it, obviously. But yeah, we have an Isle of Man cabbage, so yeah, it's a bit unique.
Pretty special.
Yeah.
And tonight at Noah, you're basically putting it out there for people.
Yeah, this is the second talk I've done. I did a talk at Douglas Library. It was well attended, full house. It was a short presentation. It was my first one, so it was a bit of a trial and error. This presentation's a little bit longer, in conjunction with Food Friday's promotion, and it's good. And it's, as you can see, looking around, there must be about 40-50 people here. It's
only early as well.
It's only early, yeah. So, and the food's delicious, I'll add.
And it's nice, it's all Manx as well. You know, we're very lucky to live in such a lovely place.
Yeah, it's just dead easy. We are lucky. You can leave Douglas and 10 minutes later you're in the countryside. You know, you're not in Asphalt City. You're not living in concrete. So it's brilliant.
So people can find you on Facebook and Twitter and such like.
Just Facebook at the moment. If I had an extra 5 hours a day, I might go on Twitter. Facebook. It's Food for Free Isle of Man. Just join the page. You'll see posts regularly from me. Updates when I'm doing my walks and talks. Things like that. Also, I'm available if people do want to arrange a walk. They can contact me. My email is foodforfreeiom@yahoo.com, or you can give me a ring on 417-119, and I can arrange a private walk for a group of.
Passing the knowledge on and putting it out there is a really special thing to do.
Yeah, they say that the best way to learn is to teach, and I've learned so much in the years that I've been doing it, and I don't profess to be an expert, because you never know everything, and it's just really good. I'm bringing a guy over in August who is much more knowledgeable than me, and he's going to come over and do some walks and talks.
Oh, wow.
So that's something to look forward to. I've been to a couple of courses in Cornwall. with a couple of recognised, who are what they call experts in the UK. You've got Emma Gunn from the Eden Project and Marcus Harrison, who's been doing foraging and wild plants for 40 years. It's a fantastic amount of knowledge and very enjoyable and interesting as well.
That was John Farragher from Food for Free.
You'd fit in well there, Kiri, with your reputation, letting all the cows and sheep out on other people's land to eat their grass.
All the glens of Ferrybridge lately. Oh, my word. It's been a long spring, though, Simon.
Yes, but it's interesting that, though, isn't it? Because I know in our youth, we used to pinch an odd apple from an orchard somewhere where nobody was really living and they were just going to fall on the ground. But a lot people are a bit more protective, I think, of them now. And it was nice that he wasn't really talking about that. It was just stuff around various parts of the Isle of Man that you can maybe help with an odd herb and things for cooking.
Well, that's it. He was recently down Port Sodrick Glen and they had a good turnout there, and they were going through looking at the different greenery in the sides, the nettles and the docks and different things and what you can do with them, and 20 things in the glen that you can eat. It's unbelievable as we just walk past them.
Yeah, I was thinking earlier when you introduced it about whether there'd be nothing in there after bin day, But it's nice that it's sort of connected with the countryside as well, because people even out maybe just for a walk normally and may find some interesting things to help with their cooking or
well, that's it. They add these different herbs and leaves to their dishes, and they basically really taste nice and make a real difference.
Yeah, well, we'll have to try some one day.
We will.
But that's just about it for this week's Countryside. Just a couple of events to remind you of. The Friends of St Jude's Church, they'll be having their TTTs on the St Jude's Strait over the TT period. And also, you've got an event that's happening as well that the public can get involved in.
Yes, on Mad Sunday, we're having Open Farm Sunday, it's called, where we open up the farm for all visitors, young and old, to come and experience modern day farming. It's an annual open day across the UK, and we've volunteered this year to have our farm to be part of it. I don't think there's any other farms on the island doing it, with it being Mad Sunday, but it's a perfect opportunity for visitors to come and experience something different.
Well, I couldn't really have one on the TT course, I suppose.
Well,
so that's at Orrisdale Farm in Ballasalla.
Orrisdale Farm in Ballasalla from 10 a.m. onwards.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Well, there we had foraging in the Manx countryside, the Grosvenor Sheep Group and bats on this week's programme, so another varied selection. And so fascinating. We always used to speak about how much you learn by presenting Countryside, Kerry. Are you finding that?
Yes, you do. You meet so many different organisations and people with various hobbies, and the amount of knowledge I've gained this last sort of couple of months has been unbelievable, and the opportunity to meet people is fantastic.
We'll be back the same time next week with more. So from me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kerry Kermode.
We'll see you then. Ta-da.
Bye-bye.
Don't sit in the slow lane. Join the fast lane right now with Shaw's all-new Superfast Plus broadband. Enjoy more bandwidth, amazing speeds and the best value on the island from just £23.95 per month. So don't be left behind. Get a piece of the high-speed action with Superfast Plus broadband from Shaw. For details, visit our stores in Douglas, Ramsey and Port Erin or click shaw.com. Love being Shaw. Terms and conditions apply.